Good day, everyone. Today we will explore the significant and multifaceted role that religion plays in the political landscape of the Philippines. So, this topic is crucial for understanding the interplay between faith and governance in a country where religion deeply influences societal values and political decisions. The concept of politics of religion highlights the significant influence that religion exerts on contemporary political landscape. This phenomenon can be observed globally, where religious actors and institutions often shape political agendas and policies. So here are some key points to consider. Contemporary influence of religion in politics. Number one is political mobilization. Religious groups often mobilize followers to support specific political causes or candidates. This can be seen in various countries where religious leaders endorse political figures or parties, leveraging their influence to sway public opinion and votes. Religious beliefs can shape policy decisions, particularly on issues like education, healthcare, and human rights. For instance, debates on abortion, uh, same-sex marriage, and euthanasia are often influenced by religious doctrines. When it comes to conflict and peace building, religion can both incite conflict and promote peace, while religious differences have fueled conflicts in regions like the Middle East. Religious leaders and organizations also play crucial roles in peace building and reconciliation efforts. Uh, During the Spanish colonial era in the Philippines, the Catholic Church was a powerful institution, and its hierarchy was dominated by Spanish friars. These friars who were Spaniards born in the Philippines were considered the only ones capable of governing parishes. This exclusively, this exclusivity, was rooted in the colonial mindset that viewed native Filipinos or Indios as inferior and incapable of holding such positions of authority. The secularization movement, led by native priests known as Indio priests, uh, sought to challenge this discriminatory practice. They advocated for the right of native priests to head parishes, arguing that they were equally capable of fulfilling these roles. This movement was not just a religious reform, but also a significant step towards asserting Filipino identity and autonomy. At the time, advocating for the secularization of the church was considered an act of treason. The Spanish colonial authorities viewed this movement as a direct threat to their control and the established social order. As a result, those who pushed for these reforms faced severe repercussions, including the death penalty. A notable example of harsh consequences faced by those involved in the secularization movement is the execution of the three Filipino priests, Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora, collectively known as Gomburza. They were falsely accused of instigating the 1872 Cavite Mutiny. It is a rebellion by Filipino soldiers and workers. The Spanish authorities used this event as a pretext to arrest and execute the priest by garrote, a method of execution involving strangulation. So, its impact on the Philippine Revolution, Uh, of course, it galvanized the nationalist movement and inspired future leaders like Jose Rizal and Andres Bonifacio to fight for independence. Rizal, in particular, dedicated his novel El Filibusterismo, to the memory of Gomburza, highlighting their martyrdom as a catalyst for the Philippine Revolution. The 1872 Cavite Mutiny and the subsequent execution of the three priests, Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora, indeed became a pivotal moment in Philippine history. Okay, influence of Vatican II and liberation theology. Fast forward to the Marcos years. The Second Vatican Council, or what we call Vatican II, and liberation theology played significant roles in shaping the political and social landscape of the Philippines. Vatican II brought about reforms in the Catholic Church, encouraging greater engagement with social issues and promoting the idea of a preferential option for the poor. These shifts resonated deeply in the Philippines, where poverty and social injustice were rampant. Liberation theology, which emerged in Latin America, emphasized the church's role in addressing social inequalities and supporting the oppressed. So, this theology found fertile ground in the Philippines, influencing many religious congregations, including the Redemptorist community and the Jesuit mission. The 1960s and 1970s were marked by student uprisings and community organizing efforts. Inspired by global movements for civil rights and social justice, Filipino students and activists took to the street to protest against the Marcos regime's authoritarianism and human rights abuses. These uprisings were often supported by religious groups who saw the struggle for social justice as part of their mission. Okay, so when President Ferdinand Marcos declared martial law in 1972, it led to widespread repression and human rights violations. However, it also galvanized opposition from various sectors, including the church. Many religious leaders and congregations influenced by the principles of Vatican II and liberation theology actively opposed the regime. They provided sanctuary to political dissidents, organized community support, and used their platforms to speak out against the injustices of martial law. Religious congregations like the Redemptorists and Jesuits played crucial roles during this period. They were involved in community organizing, uh, education, and advocacy, often at great personal risk. Their efforts helped to sustain the resistance against the Marcos dictatorship and laid the groundwork for the eventual power revolution in 1986, which led to the ousting of Marcos and the restoration of democracy in the Philippines. Indeed, organized churches have played a significant role in electoral politics in the Philippines. This involvement includes both the selection of candidates and the participation of church members in election. One of the most notable examples is the Iglesia ni Cristo, which is known for its practice of black voting. Iglesia ni Cristo and black voting has a tradition where its members are instructed to vote as a unified bloc. for specific candidates endorsed by the church leadership. This practice is based on the tenet of obedience and advocacy of unity within the church. The Iglesia Ni Cristo's block voting can significantly influence election outcomes given its substantial membership base. Uh, the Iglesia Ni Cristo has allegedly supported various presidential candidates throughout Philippine history. Some notable endorsements include Ferdinand Marcos noong 1986. Uh, the INC supported Marcos during the controversial 1986 snap election, which were marred by allegations of electoral fraud and led to the People Power Revolution. Another one is Eduardo Cojuangco, 1992. Okay, so this was during the 1992 presidential elections. The Iglesia Ni Cristo endorsed Eduardo Danding Cojuangco, a prominent businessman and political figure. Another one is Joseph Estrada, 1998. The Iglesia Ni Cristo supported him, who won the presidency with a significant margin. Another one is Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, 2004. The church endorsed GMA, who secured her position as president in the 2004 elections. And then Benigno Noynoy Aquino III. This was during the 2010 election. They backed Benigno Aquino III, who won the presidency in 2010. The INC's practice of black voting has made it a sought-after endorsement for political candidates. So candidates often seek the church support, recognizing the potential impact of its unified voting bloc on election results. This influence extends beyond presidential elections to other political positions, including senators and local government officials. So we can say that the involvement of organized churches, particularly the Iglesia Ni Cristo, in electoral politics highlight the significant role that religious institution can play in shaping political landscape. The practice of black voting and the endorsement of candidates by religious groups underscore the intersection of religion and politics in the Philippines. Okay, the Catholic Church in the Philippines has historically refrained from endorsing specific political candidates, instead urging voters to make decisions based on their conscience. This approach emphasizes the importance of personal discernment and moral responsibility in the electoral process. In the lead up to the May 2016 elections, the Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting, also known as PPCRD, launched the One Good Vote campaign. So this initiative aimed to combat bribery and vote buying, promoting ethical voting practices among Filipinos. And during the launch of the One Good Vote campaign, Luis Antonio Cardinal Tagle, he was the Archbishop of Manila, drew a parallel between the casting of ballots during the papal conclave and the act of voting in national election. He recounted his experience in the conclave where cardinals recite a prayer before casting their votes, emphasizing the sanctity and solemnity of the process. Cardinal Tagle urged voters to approach their civic duty with the same level of seriousness and reflection. He encouraged them to pray and formulate their decisions based on their religious beliefs and moral convictions. This call to vote according to one's conscience underscores the Church's commitment to fostering a responsible and ethical electorate. So the Catholic Church's involvement in campaigns like One Good Vote highlights its ongoing effort to promote integrity and transparency in the electoral process. By advocating for ethical voting practices and educating the public about the importance of voting with a clear conscience, the Church aims to contribute to the development of a just and democratic society. Okay, so a controversial remarks made by Manny Pacquiao about the LGBT community had significant repercussions both for his political career and his endorsement. In February 2016, Pacquiao made a statement comparing people in the same-sex relationship to animals, which led to widespread backlash. Nike, a major sponsor, terminated its endorsement contract with him, stating that his comments were abhorrent and contrary to the company's values of equality and non-discrimination. Okay, so its impact on political and public image, of course, Nike's decision to cut ties with Pacquiao highlighted the potential financial and reputational risk for public figures who make discriminatory remarks. This move was praised by LGBT advocates and underscored the importance of corporate responsibility in promoting equality. Pacquiao's comment drew criticism from various sectors, including human rights advocates and, of course, the LGBT community. His remarks were seen as a form of hate speech, which alienated many voters who value inclusivity and respect for diversity. Okay, so Pacquiao initially defended his comments by citing Bible verses, reflecting his deeply held religious beliefs. However, he later issued an apology, expressing regret for hurting people with his words. Despite this, he maintained his opposition to same-sex marriage. So Pacquiao's remark likely cost him the support of the LGBT community and human rights advocates, who viewed his comment as discriminatory and harmful. This loss of support could have impacted his performance in the elections. On the other hand, his stance may have resonated with some ultra-conservative voters who share similar views on same-sex relationships. This highlights the complex dynamics of voter behavior, where a candidate's controversial statements can both alienate and attract different segments of the electorate. Absolutely, the influence of organized churches in Philippine election is significant. Candidates often seek the endorsement of religious groups to gain a substantial voter base and enhance their credibility. So here are some key points to consider. Okay, influence of organized churches. Iglesia ni Cristo, as mentioned earlier, practice of black voting makes it a powerful force in elections. Candidates who receive Iglesia ni Cristo's endorsement can count on a unified vote from its members, which can be a decisive uh, factor in close races. Okay, another influential religious group is El Shaddai. It is a Catholic charismatic movement led by Brother Mike Bilarde. El Shaddai has a large following and its endorsement can sway a significant number of votes. Jesus is Lord movement led by Brother Eddie Villanueva also plays a role in elections. While it may not practice black voting like the INC, its endorsement can still influence its members' voting uh, decisions. Uh, so there are strategies for gaining church endorsement. Number one is engagement with the religious leaders. Candidates often engage with the religious leaders attending the church events and seeking private meetings to discuss their platforms and seek endorsement. Building relationship with these leaders can be crucial for gaining their support. So, they align with church values. Candidates may tailor their platforms to align with the values and teachings of the church. Can include taking stances on social issues that resonate with the church beliefs, such as opposing same-sex marriage or supporting pro-life policies. Candidates may publicly declare their faith and commitment to religious values to appeal to the devout voters. This can include attending religious services, participating in church activities, and making faith-based statements in their campaigns. So, its impact on election, uh, uh, the endorsement of organized churches can significantly impact election outcomes. Of course, it can provide candidates with a loyal voter base, enhance their credibility, and increase their visibility. However, however, it can also be a double-edged sword, as aligning too closely with a particular religious group may alienate voters from other faiths or those who prefer a separation of church and state. So the role, as a conclusion, we can say that the role of organized churches in Philippine elections underscores the deep intertwining of religion and politics in the country. Candidates often seek the support of religious groups to bolster their campaigns, recognizing the substantial influence these organizations wield over their members.